Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about blackberries, and it's February 12th, and I'm going to start this project. Of course, I have some thornless blackberries. These are bare root that I got these from a dealer at the farmer's market that has a nursery that sells blueberries and thornless blackberries and some other trees too. But anyway, what I'm going to talk about is potting these along. Now, I've taken and I put this in a pot, and I'm cutting these down. I'm just wanting to start these, and when you're potting these up, now when they're got strong roots like that, you want to make sure you get your potting soil kind of packed down in here around the roots. And I'm just using a potting soil from a big box store. Now I have some blackberries, but I don't have any thornless blackberries. And so anyway, that's simple. That's no big deal. Whenever it comes to putting these in the pot, now you could get a bigger pot, because this definitely isn't going to fit in my normal small pot. This little pot here is too small, and this is one of the bigger roots. I could go ahead and pot this up in a bigger pot, and I think I will for this particular one. But what I've been doing for the other ones is like this one here. It has a big root over here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this root down, and then I'm going to see about fitting this in the pot, and this looks like it'll do good. And the experiment part is put this in. I think I'll take a little bit out of there. We're going to put this down in here and push all these roots down in here. And what I'm doing is, like I say, packing the soil around these. Now, if you had some blackberries out there, and they're, I'm not going to say they're bad about, because that's kind of a good thing if you want more, but they'll tend to start sprouting up and getting a little bit carried away. And if you want more of them, well, of course, you just dig them up like this and put them somewhere else. Or if you're like the gentleman I got these from, you'll carry them to the market and sell them. And okay, these blackberries here were I gave $3 a piece for them, and I'm like I say, that pots up fine like that. But what I've been doing with these roots and the piece I cut off, I'm going to try to propagate them. Now these are still, you can tell these are not old growth that should be cut off that's died back. This is growth that's still got leaves and stuff, and that's what I'm looking for. Just like this one here. Okay, I'll trim this root off a little bit. It would be happy if it had more, but it's good and viable. It's trying to put out a new shoot down here. It's got enough roots. I take good care and put it in moist soil. And what I'll do is I'll do this the same way as I did the others. I'm going to cut this off, and I'm looking for nodes because, like with most, the nodes are the best place to see about them rooting. Now these nodes are kind of far apart, so I'm only going to put 2 nodes here. This one here, I'll just put 1 and leave this and put it up. But what my plans are is going ahead and propagating these and see how they do. But I'm not only going to propagate the cuttings from them, I'm going to stick these roots in the ground, because if you notice how well a lot of these want to grow, we're going to see if these are going to go ahead and set roots and send up shoots, and that's going to be the experiment part. We'll see how long this got to go. But anyway, this will be once I get this completed, and it's going to take me a little bit of time, I'll upload it, and then I might upload it early once these propagations here start rooting and showing good success. But hopefully the others will be showing something at the same time. So anyway, let me get to work and get the rest of these potted up. All the big ones potted up, I went ahead and put parafilm on the ends of them just to ensure they wouldn't dry out after cutting them back some, hopefully for a little better planting in. But the big one, I had to put it in a bigger pot. Okay, I'll set these aside, and then we're going to work on these other ones. For this next experiment part, we're using perlite, and we're going to use some vermiculite. These are both inorganic, so we don't have to worry about bacteria trying to grow. And now I don't know how well this will work as far as once it comes time to transplant these, because the reason why I like to pot in some type of media like peat moss and compost, stuff like that, is so that whenever I do that, it makes it easy to keep from damaging the roots when it's potted up. But I'm just going to kind of mix this up. And I'm using this clear container because that way I can see how much water's in here, because I'm not going to drill any holes. I'm just going to put some water in. Now this doesn't hold much water, so I mean it will kind of absorb some of it and kind of hold it there. But the reason I'm using it is perlite is real airy, so it gives oxygen for the roots. And same thing with vermiculite. Now vermiculite does seem to soak a little bit of moisture up. This would probably be better to mix this in a different container that's got a little more room, so I don't dump near as much out. You get a better job of mixing it up that way. Yeah, with your blueberries, if you're growing them, it's real easy to propagate new ones. You can just take a limb, and of course these are kind of self-supporting. They're not like a lot of your thornless where they sag and go down to the ground easy, which is one reason why I got this variety. This looks like a pretty moist mix. It doesn't have a bunch of water leaking out. So we'll just put some back in here. That looks good enough. Now, on some of these, I'm going to take and go ahead and wrap parafilm on them. And then I'm just going to stick these straight down into the media here. So they'll start rooting. But let me get these ones wrapped up. All right, I put some parafilm on the top of these, keep them from drying out. On the ones that were cut and that I had nodes, to where they had a good success from just putting them in the ground. And we want to go kind of pretty close to the bottom. We don't need to go all the way to the bottom. And we're just going to stick all these in here. And on this end here, and I did put I got a little rooting hormone to see if it might aid them. And then before you want to say, well, you're pushing it all off going down in there, it's not going to make a big deal. Don't get hung up on if a little bit of rooting hormone gets wiped off, especially if you put more water in your water and it's up above it. Where's it going? It's going down. Now what I'm going to do with the rest of these is, this is going to be kind of a scientific part of it. We're actually going to, these roots, we're going to pull back some area, and we're just going to start dropping these big root pieces in here. We're just going to pile them up. If they get a little confused, if they start growing, well, that's okay, because we're not really too worried about it. We just want to see if these will go ahead and take root and come on. So these are down in here. I don't want to just stick them and leave them sticking out, so we'll do it that way. Now these other pieces here, some of these I know which way is up, and I'm just going to put these in here. But a lot of these I'm just going to lay like this. I don't know if it's up or down. I'm just going to bury these pieces. I might not put all of them in here. Like I say, it's just a test to see what's what, which way's best. That one we'll go ahead and stick in and see if it has a chance of rooting, being it's, and this one I can kind of tell which way it goes, so I'll stick it in there that way. But a lot of these we're just throwing them off in there, and we're just going to leave them. Now we don't need all these others, so we'll just we'll pitch these. And that's the test. Now I'll go ahead and I'll put a tag in here, what these are and the date that started doing this, so I can see how these come out. But whether these grow or not, it's the idea, if I get, say, one, then I've got one more plant. But I feel like that I'm going to have pretty good success rate off of this. I haven't tried it before, but there's only one way to know. And if this works, it might be a good idea for some of you out there that's that want to have more blueberry or blackberries, but you don't have a tree. You might just take some cuttings from your neighbor and do like this, and there you go. So we'll revisit this in a period of time. It's March 21st, and it's been roughly about 3 weeks since we started this. Now, to be fair, I haven't maintained this quite so well. I tried to, but the way this is set up is kind of hard to, and some of these had actually started leafing out. Then they got too dry and the leaves fell off. So I don't think that's going to come out too good, and I'm going to kind of end this experiment. But I have some down here that are greening up, and I'm going to take these out. Now this is one of the root pieces that I planted in here, and as you can see, it's doing good. It's putting out sprouts. So what I'm going to do is pot these up, but I'm going to go through here and we're going to see exactly what's what, see what's coming up. Okay. This one here, we don't have anything to really see. This one here, we're kind of tangled up here. We've got, this one is sprouted. And you can see this one here has sprouted. We have another root over here. This one here has sprouted. This one's sprouting out. And remember now, these were just cut off of the roots when we were pruning them back to put them in the pots. So now a lot of these cuttings that are in here, they're not going to be too successful, because like I say, they got dried out. Now we did put some completely underground with our roots to see if they would sprout out from either side, and they've stayed a little moister, but they're definitely that wasn't a real good successful thing. Now I don't know if I had some fungal gnats in here or not that could have created a problem. I'm not going to blame it on them. But definitely, if there was fungal gnats, it could have caused the situation to be worse. But all these ones, I pulled up one earlier to check, because they had leafed out and the leaf have died, but there weren't any roots on them. So basically, the only thing that was really good in this experiment was the roots themselves. It did show that burying those roots, that they would come up and start growing. But anyway, this would have just been waste. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more thornless blackberries. And what I'm going to do now is get these potted up. And here you can see they got them all planted up in their little pots. And these should be some nice plants by next year's season. So because they put berries on their growth from the previous year, and being there's not any growth from the previous year, we don't expect any blackberries from these, but we do expect these should really grow. Anyway, I hope this little experiment gives you an idea. And of course, like I say, if it had been taken care of better, if I'd have propagated the actual cuttings into cups like I do with my figs and stuff, they would have done quite a bit better. But the way it was, and putting them in just perlite and vermiculite, you have to watch the water more, and sometimes for me that just doesn't work out. But anyway, if you're not already subscribed, you want to kind of see some more experiments, stuff like that, well, hit that subscribe, hit the bell button so you'll be notified. And if you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.